Okay, good evening, everyone. Thoughts we're all doing fine. I really do appreciate each and every one of you who have been consistent and patiently learning this uh, particular coding for the past few weeks. I really do appreciate you so much. So, just as I promised, I'm going to be doing a video on registration page. So, the first video I'll be doing will be for the HTML part, and after that, I'll be doing the one for CSS. Remember, I told us something about HTML that is normally used for the structure, how your web page looks like, and all of that. But the beauty is the CSS. CSS gives your HTML beauty. You understand? So that's how it works. So let's dive into the coding. So when you open a VS Code, irrespective of what you are, whether you are using your PC or you are using your phone, it's still the same thing. So the first thing is for us to create a folder, which most of us know how to create a folder already. But by virtue you don't know how to create a folder, you can actually chat me up privately, or you send me a direct message. Thank you. So when you open your VS Code, it looks like this. So you can either, and one thing, the first thing you do in coding is that you create a folder. So you can either create a folder directly here on VS Code, or you can create it on your desktop and you now open the folder from VS Code. So, but I prefer let's create a folder, the folder through VS Code there. So you click on File and click on Open Folder. Then let's create the folder on desktop. So on desktop, but let's create new folder. There are folders there, but I don't want to choose any of these folder. I want to create a folder here. So let's create it as registration registration page. So let's select folder. So once you select the folder, you'll be having your folder here now. So inside your folder, you need to get a file. So you click on this plus sign here after this registration page, and it will tell you to create a file. So let's create our file as registration page dot html. This html must be there. um so after creating the file, it will tell you that now you can now start coding. So but in VS Code you type doc to give you a template. So after that, let's clear this title, and let's give it our title registration page registration page. Then after that, let's go to the body. Remember, I told us something about the div element. So what the div element does is that it groups other elements together. And when you have a div element, it should also have a class. So it is when we want to start CSS now that we now know the use the use of the class. So but for now, since we are just doing HTML, I'll put the class, and later I'll now explain in CSS why we put the class. So the first thing we need to do is that we need to have a div, and this div, let's space it. So this div, let's give it a class. Let me say, let's give it a class registration card, or yes, or let's just say reg class. Sorry, reg card. Let's just put it card, not class now. Let's put it card. So let's have h2. Let's have h2 elements and name it EMOGO special. So let's have a paragraph, and let's call it create sorry create your account. Create your account. So after that, let's have our form. Now you are seeing action here. Later I'll tell us what this action stands for, but let's just continue with the coding for now. Then inside the form now, we are going to have our full name, email, phone number, password. Then we are now going to have a create account. Then we now have a footer. which is create account, which is the button rather. So the first thing we need to do is that let's do a div and a label for full name. Remember, I told us that div is used to wrap every other HTS element. And label now is that box you are seeing. Whenever you want to fill a form and you say you are expect to fill a form, fill a particular, whether your name or your phone number inside the box. So what gives us that box is the label. So let's have a div. So this div now, let's give it a class. What class are we going to give it now? Let's give it a class. Um, let's give it a let's say form group. Let's give it form group. So after that, let's have a label now. So this label is for what? Let's say the label is for full name, right? So full name, full name. So we need to also have an input. Input will tell us the kind of input will tell uh your users or those filling the form what kind of thing they are supposed to put there, because sometimes if you don't specify, some people might just go and type number and numbers will enter where you are supposed to enter text. So when you click on your input, it's telling you text. So since the input is for text, because full name is in form of a text, you leave it. So and sometimes when you want to fill a form, you see that inside the box, you see that they will write something like faint there, enter your name or whatever inside the box, they will write it, which is very faint. So what does that is placeholder. So placeholder, so let's say the placeholder is enter name. So there's this part also that we also need to take note of. If you fill a form and you didn't fill it completely and you want to submit, it will tell you that this field is required. So what does that is required. When you add your required is just to tell them that they must put it. So after we are done with this, so let's do for email address. So what I this of doing for email address, if I start coding again, let me just copy this. After copying this, I space, then I'll now put this. So let's remove this and put for email email address. So here is the email address. Email address. Sorry. Okay, it's fine. Yeah, there's email address. So the type will be what? Email, right? So we'll now put the placeholder enter email. So and it's also required. So let's go. The next one after email, what are we doing for? We are doing for phone number. So you remove this full name. We do for phone number. So here also should be phone number. Phone number. So here is sorry. What is happening? So here is what, let's say telephone, right? Because that's what we are entering. So enter phone. Let's just say phone. Enter phone number. Let's just put phone number. So the next thing we are doing for is after phone number we are doing for password, right? Uh, but remember the class should be form group. When we want to start styling, that's when I'll tell you why it's very important for us to do it this way. So the next one is password. Password. Here it is password. Password. Then the type will be what? Password. Then here is enter password. Enter password. Then is required. Then after password, I think the next we need to do is okay. I think the submit button now. So since we are done with the uh, password. So the next thing I will be doing is the button, which is for the submit button. So remember, we have a button, but the type now, we need to put the type as what, submit, because we have different type of button. Let's put the type as what, submit button. We also have reset button. There are buttons that when you press them it reset, but let's deal with the issue of submit button. So after we have done that, so we now okay, this submit button. So let's put the class, because we're also going to style, this button. So let's put the class too as majorly is btn for button. So then here is create account. So after that, we are done with the form now. So but if you look at the foot, you will see that on my web site, or most websites, there's what you call a footer. um let's do a div. Remember, we are done with the form now. The footer is just a write-up that I will tell you that, okay, already have an account, you should just log in. So let's have a div. Let's call the okay uh, let's call this div. Let's put a class. Let's call the class, let's say, footer, because it's a footer. Remember, this is when we start styling now. That's when you now understand the essence of why I'm using all this class. When I start styling it to make it look beautiful. So for the footer, let's have it this way, that already have an account already have an account. So we need to point this to a link. So, and remember, our a tag is for link. So since we don't have a link yet, let's just put hash. So we'll now put our login here. I think what else? I think that is all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Please kindly help me to subscribe, share, and also comment. As you are doing that, it's helping the page to also grow. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate you. Please, if there's any question you can ask me. Thank you.